Hello again YouTube, Mad Dog here. This video is a alternative fuel source, really in an emergency, for your stove. As long as it's a solid fuel stove, this will work fine. So before we go into this method, it's probably one that you might not have seen on YouTube because it isn't readily released to the public, because it does come with some hazards and warnings, which I'll just run through quickly now. So for this we're going to be using the chemical liquid acetone. Now recently acetone has been outlawed for public sale. You need a license to buy acetone because it is deemed as a precursor to making explosives. So therefore, you know, pure acetone, unless you have a license, isn't readily available. However, we can all still buy nail varnish remover, which consists like 80–90% acetone. So if you've got yourself a good bottle of acetone, you can make this fuel source for your stove. So let's crack on. So here I've got an empty jar and quite a lot of polystyrene, just standard packing polystyrene, you know, that gets everywhere. Bloody awful stuff. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, into the jar I'm going to pour just a small amount of the acetone. So you can see the size of this pickle jar, just a small amount of acetone. And basically what we're going to do is break up this polystyrene and just drop it in there, and hopefully, as you'll be able to see, hopefully, give it a stir with a wooden stick, it's completely dissolved into that acetone. So what we're going to do is continue breaking the polystyrene up and feeding it into that acetone. And what we're after is the residue is going to be similar consistency to a very well chewed piece of chewing gum. So it does take some time, but bear with me. Now the pros and cons of this product, fuel source, and a little bit of history. This is the basic ingredients that was developed, you know, in the 1930s/40s for napalm. So once this was pressurised in a canister along with gasoline, petroleum, obviously when sprayed out, stuck to anything that it came into contact with, causing it to burn. Horrific stuff, as you can imagine. Just added a little bit more acetone there, it's absorbing quite a lot. So this is the precursor to the famous napalm. Now when we've achieved what we want to achieve, which is that chewing gum like texture material, we're going to transfer this into a vessel that we can use as our fuel cell. But bearing in mind, big warning here now, that if you do use this method, really this is just for a demo, I don't recommend you doing this, but if you do use this method, only ever use it outdoors. You know, don't use it in a tent or a confined space, because it is very toxic. The fumes given off are toxic, and it gives off quite a lot of black soot like residue, which, you know, it's not healthy to breathe this stuff in. It's really not. I don't know if it's picking up very clear, but you can see we're starting to get a gooey mixture at the bottom, so I'm going to keep going until all the acetone is absorbed. And you can see you use quite a lot of polystyrene, you just melt straight away down to nothing for this. It doesn't take long, it's quite quick, and you can make a lot of it. Alright, okay, we've got quite a nice ball of gooky mix there. So what I'm going to do now is I'll add one last little bit just to thicken it up somewhat into the consistency that I really like. Okay, make sure that's all melted in nice. So as you can see, we've got a ball of slime now in the bottom of the jar that is like, you know, I don't know, sort of plasticine, gooky, well used chewing gum texture. Now I've got here a lid off an old bottle, wine bottle sort of thing. And I'm going to pour some of this mixture into there just to give you a rough idea, demonstrate it working. Okay, there we go. So that's like a capful. Now I have actually already timed this. I shouldn't be getting it over my fingers really, but it soon evaporates off. So as you can see, hopefully, I've got a capful, like so. Now the acetone soon evaporates off, but some of it is encapsulated and captured within that melted polystyrene. Oops. Now like I say, I have actually lit one of these up and timed it, and just let me move this stuff out of the way for safety. Excuse me. Now I found that the average time for this is 5 to 6 minutes for just one little capful. So if you can imagine, you've got 2 or 3 of these and you put them inside an Esbit stove or whatever fuel, whatever stove you're using, you've got more than enough to boil your canteen of water. If you was to make, like, you know, like this is a used buddy burner, but if you've got an old beer tin or something even half this size and filled it, you're going to be looking at something like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of burn time. You know, they're very effective, but again, note of caution that if you get any of this stuff stuck to you and it sets fire, it will burn you to the bone, because it doesn't come off. It will burn you to the bone. So please, this really is just a demo. You know, really don't go and do it, but it's a nice little bit of knowledge to have in the memory banks for an alternative fuel source for your stove. So I'm going to light it up, and it will burn very fierce, very hot. Hopefully you can see this. I've got a fire extinguisher on hand and some wet cloths to throw over it, you know, should I need to extinguish it quickly. I'm not going to let it burn the whole 10 minutes, the whole 10 yards as it were, but I'm just giving you a quick demo to show you that it's very effective. It burns hot and fierce, and it's quite wind resistant, obviously. But like I say, if any of this sticks to you and it gets ignited, you're in trouble. So it's not really one to be recommended, to be honest. But I just thought I'd quickly share with you an alternate fuel source. I'm not going to let it run the full course, because as you can probably see, it's emitting that black toxic smoke, and I'm in here in the shed, so I don't want to be breathing this rubbish in as well too much. So just give you a quick demo. Just going to open the shed door, excuse me. Just let some of this rubbish out. As you can see, we're starting to get quite a lot of black bits in the air now. But anyway, thought I'd share that one with you quickly. That's a basic napalm mix basically. It's the raw ingredients for napalm, using polystyrene, bit of nail varnish remover, acetone as a fuel source. Hope you find some of this useful. Take care. See you on the next one, which won't be long. Mad Dog signing off. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love the smell of napalm in the morning or the evening. Thanks again. Mad Dog signing off. Yeah.